Hello, welcome to the Final Fantasy XVI preview. Quick production note before we get into it. We shot the preview and then the footage was corrupted, but the audio was all good. And then Brad was sick and it didn't make a lot of sense to try to reshoot it and scramble it all together at the last minute. So you will not see us actually talking to each other at this desk in real time, but all the good stuff is there. All the info is there, and we've got a lot of footage to show you, so enjoy.
Hello, everyone. I am Brad Ellis. I'm joined by Michael Damiani and Daniel Bloodworth.
Yo.
Today is a good day. A very good day, because I got to play Final Fantasy XVI.
Played it.
Square Enix flew me to New York City to play this bad boy. This game rips right off the bat. I'm going to say that. So let me just tell you about what the whole thing was, the whole event. So I went to New York. I played it. There was a presentation with Yoshi P and Koji Fox doing it, who is the he's doing the translation. If you're in Final Fantasy XIV community, you know all these guys, all that stuff. They just had a little presentation telling me about the game, what's going on in the world, and all that. No spoilers, I'm not going to talk about any of the story. But what I got to play was very combat-focused sections, they said. So there's more to that, what I will get into later, but I didn't get to play any of that. So what I played was, right off the bat, was two different sections. One with Clive, as Clive in the normal combat, and the second was a summon thing. Okay. So let's get right off the bat. Let's go right in, okay? So the beginning, the demo I played, they said it was about 5 hours in, but I had stuff in the game that you won't normally have at this point in the game. So it was just more stuff to probably let me play around with. So the game, or what I played, started off in a like a fortress, okay? So I had Clive, your companion dog, Torgal, who's like a party member, and Sid, who's also a friend, a party member, who is the whole thing about this game, a lot of it is icons, which are people. They're essentially summons. They inhabit these summons. And Sid is the icon of Ramu.
Okay.
So he was with me the whole time, going through this fortress. So right off the bat, the gameplay is very Devil May Cry-esque, because the battle director is Ryoto Suzuki, who did Marvel vs. Capcom 2, or worked on that, Dragon's Dogma, and Devil May Cry 5.
Wow.
So this guy knows what's up, big time. I'm just going to talk about some of the basic combat, what you have with the tools you got. So, of course, the square button was your basic attack. I had a sword you just slash guys with. Triangle was you would cast like a little magic, little fire thing. It reminded me of kind of like Dante's pistols. It was much slower than that, but it was like boom, boom, boom. So you can do a little range magic.
Does that change per character, or do you always control the same character?
You only play as Clive.
Okay.
But Torgal, you can give some commands to.
Okay.
So, I guess before we get into that, so on your D-pad, you have hotkeys. So you can have hotkeys for up, right, and down.
Okay.
For items. So I had like a potion, a high potion, like a stone skin defense thing.
Nice.
If you push the left D-pad, it'll switch to Torgal's commands.
Oh, okay.
So he had like 2 attack things and a heal. So I can hit a button and Clive would shout like, Torgal! And Torgal would like attack or something. Really sick. Love Torgal, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
They also said you will be able to pet Torgal, so fear not.
Yes.
Pet enthusiasts.
Of course.
We'll be petting Torgal. But anyways, yes, you have your basic attacks, but you also have powers from like summons. So Clive has some powers from summons. What I had at this point, which will probably not be the final game, is I had Phoenix.
Okay.
I had Garuda, and I had Titan.
Okay.
So let me explain how these works. Basically, you hold R2, and 2 abilities will pop up of their abilities.
Okay.
So it was square and triangle. So square, what I had at the default with Phoenix was like an uppercut thing. Then triangle was an AoE spin around attack with flames.
Okay.
Garuda was like for square was like a crazy rapid attack with like claws. You know, Garuda's got claws, stuff like that. Then the other one was like an AoE up spin air attack. Then Titans were a little different. Titan had like a punch that you would hold down the button and it would kind of do like a little meter thing, and you would let go at the right moment to do more damage. So like a punch like that, then the other one was a slam. Felt really good.
Sick.
Additionally, depending on which icon form you're in, circle will do something different, the circle button.
Okay.
So with Phoenix, it would do like a little gap closer. He would like teleport like fire, like really close to the enemy.
Okay.
But it was only forward from what I could tell, so you couldn't like dash around with it. Garuda had a pull. You would pull the enemy towards you.
Nice.
So you can grab it and go whoop, boom, pull him towards you. This also ties into some mechanics of boss fights. There was a part in a fight where I grabbed an opponent, and at a certain point, you grab them and they pull them down on the ground. So that'll come into things later.
Sick.
And Titan's circle ability was a block. You would like hold up a stone arm, big arm.
Nice.
You could get parries with this if you do it at the right moment.
Oh.
If you do it the last second, you block, you can get like a couple, like he would punch really quick with his Titan hands.
Sick.
So you got all that. Pushing L2 switches between these three. These three forms. I
So
think
like a cycle.
I think you're gonna have 3 forms at a time, or you'll have equipped. I'm not sure. I don't know because I assume there's gonna be many more. Or I know there's gonna be more icon abilities.
This is okay. This sounds really good. I was very curious how they were going to handle all this, and it sounds like it
works really well.
It is a modified version of like how 14 handles controller things, which has way more button inputs, but they use like the left, like they use a bumper or a trigger. You can set to whatever you want, but by default, a bumper or trigger lets you cycle through, and then holding down like triggers is how like the face buttons change to like each thing. So I was very curious how they're doing this. So this sounds really good to someone like me because it's super analogous to that. So it's gonna like feel really easy to get into. And I hate when they like map things to like a million different buttons. Like this is real sounds good. Yeah.
Additionally, so when you use these abilities, they're on a cooldown. Okay. So you can see like going down, and if you're swapping, but at the bottom right of the screen, you can see each cooldown of the abilities. So there's like 2 red circles, 2 green, and 2 like yellow. So you can see what's on cooldown. Just letting you know if you're in a form and swapping. Like I was swapping between these pretty quickly. I'd do like a huge thing, then I'd swap real quick to another thing. You're bouncing around all of that. So also with your attacks, okay, so you got those icon abilities. There's also a normal parry thing.
Okay.
If you attack with your like sword right before they hit you, it does like a mini witch time. Just very small, where I got a few hits in. Felt really nice. I will say this, the combat felt very good. I was like,
awesome to hear.
Yo, this is good. There's a lot of depth to it. Now, additionally, okay, so we got all these abilities. There's also abilities you unlock. Like, not necessarily talent tree. They were like spheres of circles.
Right.
There was one dedicated to Phoenix, one to Garuda, one to Titan, and one for normal abilities for Clive.
Okay.
One of them was you could jump off an enemy. If you go up to and push X, you jump off.
Devil May Cry
very much. One was with my magic. If I held triangle, it would charge it up a little more and do more damage.
Nice. Okay, enhancing.
Another one was if I held square for a second, Clive would light his sword on fire real quick and hit him with a sword attack. And one that I thought was really cool was if you hit triangle right after you hit someone with a sword strike, he would instantly cast a quick thing, magic thing.
That's nice.
So adding some like nice precision timing. So you got all that going on. You got all this crazy combat. So just talking about a few of the counters I went through, I fought a bunch of like very armored knight kind of guys. They got the basic stuff. There's also a taunt thing, Damiani. You could taunt. It wasn't necessarily like Devil May Cry.
Okay. I was like, yeah. Is it was keeping your combo meter going or something?
It would do something so that enemies would attack me because I was waiting. I was waiting for guys to attack me because I was trying out different timing things. And one of the Square Enix guys was like, "Hey, if you do this and this, you can get them to attack you." And it did like they had like a red thing above.
MMO taunt, like kind of. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, gotcha. Kind of like that. So I was fighting a bunch of knights going through this whole area. There's, the basic guys with swords and shields and stuff like that. There was also some guys casting magic and healing so to take them out. And there's also like a little more of elite guy, a couple of them that I fought. They would like teleport around a little bit and have lightning and stuff like that. So you want to take them down. Stagger meter. They've been doing this in many Final Fantasy games. There's also a stagger meter.
Okay.
Do enough damage, it'll build up. They'll take more damage. They're incapacitated for a little bit so you can wail away on them. Pretty important at some parts for the heavier guys, I would say. Also, limit break.
Okay, I was about to ask.
There's a limit break. You have limit breaks. So by pushing, you have a meter at the top you could see. I had 2 bars of it. I assume you're going to get more as the game progresses. Push L3, R3. Clive would like set on fire kind of thing, and he would like rapidly strike guys, and you just deal way more damage. And it came back at a pretty nice pace, right? I didn't feel bad for burning it.
Okay.
All right.
I wasn't like feeling the need to hold on to it, or I was like, oh, I better save this or something like that. I was just like letting it rip whenever I had the chance. So going through this castle with Torgal and Cid, fighting all these guys. There's some exploration a little bit from this. This was a very like small section or linear section, but I was able to loop around at some parts of the castle, pick up, loot, some crafting items and stuff like that, some potions, all that good stuff.
Yeah, did you get any insight into the like gear?
We're gonna get to that. Okay, well, I can talk about the gear. So
Sorry,
you have gear slots. I had a weapon slot for his sword. There was like a belt slot, and there was like a bracer slot.
Okay.
There's a belt slot.
Yeah,
This is amazing.
It might have been waist or something like
That's
that. But
fine.
it was
It's-
I think it was a belt. What I had,
fact that
something
they-
like
they
that.
just
Yes, I know
deleted
it's funny
belts
because
from
of 14. Yes, I know.
Yes.
Yes,
Right? And he's like, please don't ask me about
but
belts.
there was also like accessory slots.
Yeah, okay, that's what I
They
figured.
had to use them in 16, so that's what. They
That's
didn't take
exactly
up
all the
14
resource
to give
belt
them to
resources
16.
went there.
But there was like for accessories, there was like standard stuff, like more damage or something. Like
Okay.
that, more defense. There's other things I'm going to tie into that when we talk about the difficulty later.
Gotcha.
though.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you have a question?
I didn't know they're doing like materia or like any like,
Nothing
stuff
that I
like
saw of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Nothing I
cool.
saw of that. I think there's craft in the game, but I didn't see any of it. So I just know there is.
What I was wondering, because you're talking about like going through the dungeon and you went a lot into depth in combat, but how is the encounters set up? Are there just like guys wandering around and you wail on them, or like you actually like
I was going.
stop into like an instance and like you beat everybody in that space and you get a grade or something like Devil May Cry?
So there is kind of like a grade thing. I think it was only at the end of specific encounters, and I didn't see like a style ranking or anything like that, but depending on how you performed, you would get some rewards.
I was gonna say, is it experience factor into any of this at all?
I don't recall. I don't remember. I wasn't exactly
right.
sure how to tell. Like some things, if you would perform them better, you would get like a little like indicator letting you know you did it like better or something like that. But I didn't see like S or A rank or anything like that. But there is some sort of ranking system.
Okay.
There's more on that we're going to get into later. But let me just tell you about this encounter. So obviously you're going to fight many of the icons in this game. I fight. Garuda has two sisters or whatever. I think she called them sisters, but there's two. I fought at one time.
Saparna and Chirata?
Maybe. I don't remember theirs.
Sorry, that's...
There was a lot of information. I'm trying to take it all.
It's okay. But like,
there was
I
two.
just- yeah.
So there was an encounter, like a mini boss where you fight two of them at once. Damiani, there is some indicators on spells they're doing, letting you know that something's going to happen.
Okay.
It's not like Final Fantasy XIV where it's like a big orange circle or something like that. Not that like plain, I guess. It's much more stylized, like like there would be electricity stuff on the floor, like lines, but it would look like electricity, letting me know that.
That was like in the City NT boss battles where they would have like build up attacks, but there's no like cast meter that was giving you. It's like, oh, you got to go on visual cues.
Yeah, there's a lot of visual cues, which I thought was really smart.
Yeah.
So there was that fight, really cool. They were both flying around. Then you defeat one, the other one gets a little more powered up. Pretty cool stuff. Then after that fight, you progress through the castle, a little more fighting guys, just some grunts. Then at the top, you have an encounter with Garuda, the icon of Garuda herself. So you fight her in her like normal human form. She's got, wind stuff, of course, like that. Dashing attacks, flying in. Really cool stuff. Big spectacles. I really like this game. Taking cues from Final Fantasy VII Remake in the sense of the transitions in battle. There's like different phases.
Nice.
Now, I remember a problem with 7 Remake is if you would do a limit break,
Yeah.
and it would sometimes feel like a waste because it would just cut off.
Right.
Now, I did a limit break at the end of one of these, but since it's a meter, I believe it stopped, so I didn't lose everything right off the bat. So I was like, I did it, then it ended really quick, and when the next phase started, I was close to the limit break again. So I was like, all right,
Gotcha.
cool. I didn't
Okay.
feel like I wasted it to get to that phase. Fought her like that. Then she grows wings. Then she starts getting really crazy with like dash attacks, like lightning on the floor, like dodging around, all that good stuff. There's parts where I definitely had to like evade for a little bit. Then I'd pelt her away with like magic as I'm doing all this. Then, I'd do a parry or something like that. Then get in, like burn a bunch of cooldowns on her. Really sick, really fun. I was like, yes, this is Devil May Cry combat. This is excellent. I love this kind of stuff. The combat overall is very in-depth, but I will get into more things about making it easier for newcomers and stuff like that. Let me talk about the next encounter, okay? The second part I played. This fight was once again with Garuda, but different part of the story. So you're in this like field or like a little outside walkway area, like rocks around you, very green, going through there. Garuda's going nuts, dude. Storms are coming. You're walking through there. You get separated from Sid and Torgal, so it's just you. You get in there. You fight Garuda in like full Garuda form, like big out there. But you're Clive. You're small Clive. You're fighting her like that, and she's like leaning and like, slashing at you. This is one part where there's a part where I was able to grab her with the Garuda thing and slam her on the ground, kind of, to get her to do more damage. But then the fight escalates. Story happens. Clive turns into Ifrit. Then I remember they described, so a lot of the games are going to be icon fights with you fighting, or icons fighting each other. So you are Ifrit at this part. I don't know if you'll be someone else different. I don't know. Anyways, they described this part as they're all going to be different encounters, okay? They're all going to be like stylized different. Like they're going to play out differently. They showed in the presentation a clip of like a part of Phoenix flying and like shooting it. Reminded me of like Panzer Dragoon or like Star Fox or something almost like that. But they said, I believe they said they wanted this to feel like a pro wrestling match between Garuda and Ifrit. So you were, obviously you're bigger, much bigger than humans fighting, like kaiju style fights. They gave a height actually for Titan. I think Titan's the biggest. So they said Titan was like 300 feet tall or something like that. So it's going to be sick. But anyways, yeah, you're fighting Garuda. So with Ifrit, I had a basic swipe. I had a ranged like fireball kind of thing, and I had like a charge up thing to them. If you hit them, you like slam them on the ground, kind of thing like that. So a lot of it is you trying to get to Garuda and her trying to stay away from you. So you're fighting, you're navigating, she's shooting stuff at you, you're dodging to the side. Oh yeah, there's just a normal dodge. If I forgot to bring that up with Clive, it's R1. So
okay.
You can dodge with Clive, all that good stuff. Fighting her. You know, you get close to her, you slam her on the ground, like throw her, punch her, and throw her away. Then she's far away again, but you can like hit her with some fire attacks. All this is crazy spectacle that looked really good, really awesome. I was like, dude, this is awesome, really fun. It reminded me of Bayonetta 3 has some stuff like that, but just like this was escalated.
Sick.
I felt the blows, dude. It definitely felt heavy and brutal. I was like, yes, it's good. But a fought her, defeat her is awesome. So that's like pretty much the extent of the gameplay that I had with them. However, I did have a interview with the battle director, Ryota Suzuki.
Heck yeah.
Producer, Naoki Yoshida. The director, Hiroshi Takai. And Koji Fox was doing the translation, also answering questions. Immediately, the first thing I asked them was, I asked them about how Final Fantasy VII Remake had like hard mode, like a post-game thing with new bosses. So they did tell me there's going to be New Game Plus right off the bat. There's 2 difficulties at the start. There's an easier one and normal, but they were calling this harder difficulty that I think you could only do after New Game Plus. They were calling it Final Fantasy mode.
Okay.
Okay.
They said it'd be much more challenging in that some of the enemies would be different in the sense that like harder enemies would probably show up at different points in earlier points in the game. Okay. So they were saying, hey, if you just want to replay the game again on like normal or whatever with all your upgrades and all that stuff, you can totally do that. But if you want a further challenge, there's going to be that kind of stuff. And I was trying to get them to, I was trying to see if there was like additional stuff in hard mode, like bosses, but they weren't really having it. They weren't telling me quite yet, which is totally fine. But they did say there's like, of course, going to be optional stuff. Now, as this game is a Devil May Cry thing, and I talked about the difficulty. So the difficulty, there's going to be like a normal and like an easier mode, I guess. They said the difficulty isn't in the sense of, you know, on the easier difficulty, you won't take less damage or deal more damage. Instead, they're going to give you like accessories to help you in the game. So one of them, for example, was if you just push square, the combat will do more flashy combos for you automatically. Okay. Kind of like a fighting game, I guess.
It's
you know?
auto combos.
Kind of some stuff like that.
Or Bayonetta.
Yeah, stuff like that. One of the things was if you're about to get hit by an attack that is dodgeable, it would slow down and you'd be able to push a quick time thing.
But yeah, Bayonetta literally has that too.
Speaking of quick times, there's a few quick times in this game, but they play out in the sense of it's usually like 1 or 2, 3 buttons in the sense like the screen will turn red. And at that part, you like have to dodge or something like that. Then it'll turn blue, and you push like another command. There's only like 3, but they're very easy. They're not like it's not like Resident Evil 4 Krauser fight. You know what I mean? It's just like one thing. It's just really cinematic. That's what it's mostly there for. But anyways, these accessories you can equip to help you in the fight. Like one of them was also Torgal will just do things automatically. So you don't have to worry about giving Torgal commands.
I could see that being...
One of them was to, if you have potions, it'll auto pop them for you.
Yeah.
But of course you have accessory slots, so you can only have a limited amount. I assume you'll get more. Yeah. I assume.
I like the auto potion thing. I use that. I use that in Forspoken.
So it's just like
I hate having to like you just forget and it's like there and it's like really dumb to die when like you're sitting on all these potions like I just forgot to hit the button
because they were like very aware that they wanted to please both crowds. You know, the newcomers are people who aren't quite as comfortable with action games, and you know the much more diehard things, which is another thing I'm going to get into about diehards. So that's how they're going to handle the difficulties, just giving you some tools to adjust to battles easier. And if you want to like make it harder as you continue on, you can just take those accessories off.
That's
really good
cool.
stuff.
I like that. Yeah.
So also I didn't see like anything of the world. They showed like some clips of Clive walking around some of the environments. Looked really cool. One was like a big, huge desert with like a humongous waterfall. Kind of reminded me like Xenoblade or something like that. Some of these zones are going to be big. They're not. The game is not open world.
Yeah,
they stress that, and I think we've kind of figured that out. It's not. And so I asked them how like the world is going to work and stuff like that. So what they told me is you're going to have like a hub town that you're going to go to a lot. And at this town, from this town, you're going to kind of branch out to different areas.
Okay.
At this hub town, they also said as you complete stuff in the story, do stuff in the story, things will unlock at this hub town. New things for you to do. They talked about crafting, some maybe NPCs you can get quests from. I did ask them about stuff you'll be doing in the open world. They did tell me there's going to be hunts, like in Final Fantasy XII, for you to do.
Okay.
They didn't tell me like a lot of other extra stuff out there, but there's going to be stuff to find, you know. And I assume there's going to be like super bosses to find out there, like most Final Fantasy games. So, like I said, this whole presentation was mostly focused on the combat, but that was just a glimpse of it. I didn't see the town. I have no idea what it looks like.
Okay.
But they were talking about, you know, you go out through the story, you'll obviously go to like new areas, like a new town or something in the story, and you'll come back there and you probably upgrade your town as you progress through the story. One thing that I thought was really interesting is they're talking about at your town, you'll be able to replay some scenarios, I guess, or some levels that you've played to.
Oh, okay, nice.
To try to get a high score.
Okay.
And they said leaderboards. So you're going to be able to,
leaderboards.
I guess for some of these things, I wonder if they'll get hacked pretty quickly whenever it comes to PC, but they're talking about competing for, you know, like higher scores and stuff.
I'm trying to remember, because you remember he had the Chatterley fights or whatever in Remake?
Yes, that was like very specific boss fights kind of.
Yeah.
Or like encounters. I don't think it sounded like past things, Bloodworth, like past events. Maybe you could refight boss fights or something. I don't know.
That makes sense, though.
Yeah,
because you'd want like you have these sick Titan fights or whatever.
Exactly, that are
want to
visually
get another run.
Awesome to look at.
Like if you just like got by through the skin of your teeth, or like you finished it but in a weird way, and it's like, oh, I want to try that again.
Yeah. So also what I played was of course they stress like, hey, the game's not done yet. It's going to be more optimized, obviously, when it comes out. One funny comment I told Damiani this Bloodworth that Yoshi P was like, we know Square Enix is like notorious for delays, and he's like, this game is not getting delayed unless a meteor hits our headquarters or something like that.
Okay.
So he's very like reassuring that this game is coming out on time. But the version of the game I played ran pretty good. It wasn't like 60 all the time or anything like that, but they said they was targeting like more 4K, the version I was playing, like the fidelity thing. But they did say there'd be performance mode also in the game right off the bat.
Nice.
So I was like, very good. Love to hear that. They talked about DLC a little bit. Mm-hmm. They said they're down to do DLC. If the opportunity happens, they're down to do it. But Yoshi P specifically brought up how Final Fantasy XV's DLC rolled out.
Yeah.
Stuff getting announced,
and
not coming out, and they don't want that to happen. They're only going to do it if they are 100% sure it's going to happen. They don't want to overpromise anything. So if they do they are keen to do it, but they're not announcing anything until they know it's going to happen. And
that's good.
It's guaranteed. But yeah, that was kind of my experience with the game. I replayed some of the sections a couple of times too, just to feel it out. Like they let me play for like probably like an hour or so, these two sections, and I was just like experimenting with the timing and just feeling everything felt very good. I came out of this PlayStation very impressed with the gameplay. Of course, when you got like that battle director, I was like, yeah, it's going to be good. But if you are worried about hopping in and being overwhelmed with the combat, there are things in place to help ease you in if you're nervous. But if you're a hardcore action fan, there's going to be some great stuff there. It wasn't like, it's hard for me to say it's going to be as in-depth as Devil May Cry, because like I only played like a brief chunk of it, but it felt like there was a good amount of depth there where I was surprised. More than I was expecting, I guess I would say.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it sounds like the depth is more in swapping your abilities and your commands and things like that, rather than, the kind of like hitting a bunch of combo timing and that, or juggling or that kind of thing.
I didn't have like, I didn't have any combos where I was like square, square, triangle, triangle, square.
Or like stuff with like delays, like input, pause, input, like stuff like that. Like directional inputs, like double tap forward.
Yeah,
plus
so
this,
there's like I had like a
stinger, and
there's like a stinger thing I unlocked, which was you just push square and X together, and Clive would do it.
Yeah, that's easy.
But one cool thing I thought, or that they said that I really appreciated, is they were very careful to not make one form better than the other. They were like, we wanted people to find their own style and play with what they like to play with, and they said they're pretty happy with what they did so far, because they said their play testing or whatever, internal play testing, a lot of people use different things from each other. So I think if you find a style you like, you can kind of stick with it. Yeah. Obviously,
I'm very curious, experimenting with something like Leviathan or Shiva.
Yeah.
The abilities you could get out of those guys. Yeah.
I also imagine it's a little bit about people who like to play like range versus like close up. I know it is like an action game, but at the same time, I think they know one of the biggest things about Final Fantasy fan base are people who just don't want to like be that up close with the combat. They want to be like more behind, more passive, back, being able to like keep their distance, and it sounded like some of those abilities allowed you to do that.
A little more variety. Also, I could just talk about a few of the other moves. Like for Phoenix, there was one that I unlocked on the wheel or whatever that was like, it would just do like a range fire, like slashes or something like that. Garuda had one that was specifically tailored around like a counterattack. So if you would push it right before you get hit, you would do like a crazy counterattack with it. And Titan had like one where you just go up to him and he would do like boom, 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 a bunch of rapid punches real quick. It's super cool. Also in the presentation, when we've seen this character in some of the trailers, is Jill, who was like she's aligned with Clive earlier on in the game. Obviously, from the trailers, we saw that this game is going to be multiple parts of Clive's life. Beginning, he's like in his teens. And I think they said the 20s and 30s, something like that.
Okay.
Jill is a party member in the game at parts, but I did not have anything with her, so I don't know what she was like in combat. But I guess that was it. I was super impressed. They've been polishing this for a very long time to make sure it's good out the gate. I came away. Obviously, I had very high expectations because it's a Final Fantasy game. But also with Yoshi P as the producer and like the pedigree of the other staff who were working on the game, I had high expectations and I was very pleased. I'm definitely dying to see more of the world and like what's that like out there. Like I know there's big zones and you're riding chocobos and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And I want to see more of your like your hub town that you're upgrading throughout. I want to see all that, but like I said, that most of this was just focused on combat and the story presentation. Obviously, the cutscenes are very good. The voice acting is very good. The music. Boom! It's so good, Damian. It's soaking. Dude,
excellent.
That hits hard. The music is really good.
The trailer songs were really killing it.
It is killer. This is looking like, honestly, this is some like the most confidence I've had in Final Fantasy in a very long time. And I feel like a lot of people like that, especially with Square.
Well, even what you're saying, like they feel confident.
They feel
in what they're doing.
They feel very confident about what they're putting out.
Whereas with 15, it's just 15 was what is happening?
A very strange thing. Yes.
Yeah.
But it feels like it's been a little while that like the development hasn't had any kind of like weird trouble or issues. Yeah. Like 12 having to have its director depart.
Yeah.
We're talking about the single player mainlines. 13 with its prolonged development.
Yeah.
And then 15, obviously, even more of an issue. So this is like the first one since probably like 10 that's had like a nice kind of like coherent for the most part.
Yeah.
Where from start to finish, we have a vision where we're realizing it.
Yeah.
And it's been a while. I mean, it's been over 20 years.
And I think, we've had a bit of, a pretty good bit of teasing and stuff. Like, we haven't seen too much of it yet.
Yes.
So,
like, I still have many questions.
Yeah.
Many things I want to know.
Yeah.
Obviously, also, if you're unaware, the story is very, like, it's much more, not that Final Fantasy is not mature at all. Final Fantasy has some very intense storylines, but this is a much, like, darker kind of feeling story.
Yeah.
Very dramatic. There's, like, blood
Yeah, this
and
reminds me a
stuff.
lot of, like, Type 0.
Yeah, there's like dead guards laying around, like blood. I was like picturing like almost like From Software at a few parts in my mind. It's not that crazy, you know, but it just kind of reminded me of it sometimes, like that fortress I was in and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, it's not horror.
No.
But
But it's like a very, the
yeah.
storyline very much reminds me of like Final Fantasy Tactics, like
I was gonna say,
political
it's tactics
and stuff like that. Because
yeah.
these nations are fighting.
Or 12 a little bit.
There's these like huge crystals in the world, and they said these crystals are like natural resources for the world. They compared it to like oil for us or something like that, and like these nations fighting over these kind of things and stuff like that. So it's going to be a very like serious story. I'm sure there's going to be lighthearted moments, I'm sure, of course, but it's a very mature story. I think this is like this is a rated M, I believe. I think I could be totally wrong.
I think so.
I think so, which is most mainline Final Fantasy games are not, but yeah, very cool. I'm hyped, and if you are into Final Fantasy, I think you should be excited, big time.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it, everybody.
Hell yeah.
I'm sure we'll be covering this game more as we are able to. More stuff coming out. So look forward to that. We are Easy Allies. Check us out on patreon.com if you enjoy any of our work. Support us there or on YouTube or Twitch, all that good stuff. We greatly appreciate it, and we will see you all next time. Take care.